you very much, Moscow. Very much welcome to Minister Hildegard Naughton here, representing Galway and the West, and it's great to see such a great representation of the West here today amongst all of our senators. I suppose the Minister is over international road transport and logistics, and I suppose to thank her and her team at the Department of Transport for giving us such detail here today. And it is shocking when I read the detail and the statistics that have been given. I remember going for the local elections last year and speaking to the point of 32 million passengers, I think, been in airports in Ireland at the time, and how we had a lot of disposable income in our country. And that doesn't it just point to the importance of tourism in our country and how the importance of driving it for the West. The end of 2019, that was 38 million passengers that were going through Irish airports. It's now down to 1% of that. The impact of COVID, the crisis that's hit that sector it's just shocking. It's shocking to even comprehend. I suppose it highlights how we've taken things for granted. I suppose in the 80s, we used to think of airports as places to go for immigration. Luckily, the progress that we've seen in the last number of decades, people go to airports and they're like 2 or 3 times a year. You know, you were looking at people who were taking flights, weekend breaks, you know, going away for their holidays, as well as it been so important for business and industry. So there's very much there very important about consumer confidence, I think, in this particular sector. As an island nation, we do take it for granted. We do take it for granted that everything we do in the competition that was introduced, bringing in the likes of Ryanair when you were going back to a monopoly with Aer Lingus and where, you know, flights were so expensive, we need to ensure that this sector maintains its competitive nature for the time ahead. The realistic forecast that you've given us, Minister, was for 2023 or 2024, a time that when air travel is actually going to return to its pre-COVID numbers. And it shows that long-term investment is going to be required for this sector. I know the government has put supports in place that we've seen across many other areas, across all of industry, the employment wage subsidy scheme and deferring the commercial rates and the low-cost loans. But this sector in particular, 2023, 2024, this is long-term. We need long-term supports. So I suppose just to speak a little bit to that, to what we'll be looking at over those number of years. And then how do we support this aviation sector to maintain over 40,000 jobs and to survive the challenges? So we need, like, you know, there's over, I suppose I'm speaking particularly now to FDI and to the multinationals, but multinationals in Ireland support over 250,000 jobs. How does the IDA, we've pointed out that in order to do their site visits, they're trying to do a lot of them online at the moment, but how are they going to ensure to get that investment across the line only by the final venture, after all of their online visits, to actually bring those people into Ireland? So how do we ensure that we maintain the core connectivity on routes that you've spoken about? So in other words, you know, be it to Europe, to the States, to the key airports that IDA will designate as crucial and core to us maintaining our FDI in Ireland. We look forward to the development of a vaccine, I suppose, with successful clinical trials potentially in 2021. And our testing capability has increased. And I welcome as well in your report, Minister, hearing that testing in airports is something that we're looking at quickly and rapidly, I would hope, to ensure that travel can be allowed, non-essential travel. So non-essential travel could be allowed in line with European guidelines, and again down to consumer confidence. Because we have to ensure the survival of this sector. It has to be done. We have to do it in a way that maintains safety, and that's down to testing, but also consumer confidence. And that is the things that we need to look to. And obviously the role that we each play in our own countries to ensure that we keep the R number down. If I could just ask, I suppose I've mentioned just a little bit of information. The questions I was just going to ask you, Minister, was just a little bit more information on those core connectivity routes, or perhaps maybe that somebody in your department might be able to come back at another stage. And in relation to the regional airports, I mean, I was very happy to see there that you've spoken about the 5-year regional airports plan that you'll be working on. Very important for us, coming from Galway, of course. We don't really have that international airport in Galway. We depend on Knock and we depend on Shannon. And it is crucial for the multinationals in medtech and healthcare and life sciences in the Galway city area, which impacts on the regional rural areas of course, Roscommon and Galway, Mayo, Sligo. It's huge. Knock is located in a region in transition in the west. And we know that the region in transition status means that the income of people in that area only reaches 75% of GDP across the EU 27. I suppose I'm curious to know what other supports have been put in place for Knock Regional Airport as part of that region in transition under the EU. It's really great to see that Knock as well has confirmed pre-flight coronavirus tests, and I'd just be curious to see, I think that's part of a proposed EU system, from what I understand, that would be agreed with other member states, and that foreign ministers will be approving that next month. So I suppose those are just the final questions, just to thank you and to wish you all the best in your new role. Thanks very much.